Welcome back to the Success by Design show, where we're talking to people that have designed their own success. And sometimes success could be success in health. And today in our studios, we have Leslie Bamford, somebody that has taken charge of her health and has an incredible story. And today we're talking about taking charge of your health. And Leslie, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Leslie, how can someone out there take charge of their health?
They need to empower themselves. They need to know that they are the best and most intuitive guide to their own health, and they need to do whatever they can to make sure that they're at optimal health. And if that means questioning the normal ways of going about doing it, so be it. If it means blending different ways, so be it. They just have to be perseverant in it.
So you're a writer and you're a editor.
Yeah, by trade.
But you also facilitate workshops on just that, helping people take charge over their health.
That's right, yeah.
But what's your story? How did you kind of get to this point where you could help people facilitate their health?
I sort of fell into it naturally, I guess, as a role model, and unhappy one at first. Because 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer, which is serious stuff.
Serious.
Yeah. And through the experience of fighting it and overcoming it, and arriving at this point today, 4 years later, where I had an 80+% chance of it recurring and of me not surviving, I've accumulated a lot of information along the way, and have always shared it as I've gone along, and so I just sort of fell into that position. I would go to work, for example, and I would explain the next or the newest thing that I had discovered about alternative therapies mixed with my conventional therapies and how the two can blend so perfectly together. And I would share this information with others, and before I knew it, I would have a group around me at work asking,
Wow.
What about this? What about that?
You just said it. You mix the two.
That's right.
A lot of people are either on one side of the fence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's often the what's going on right now?
I think it's becoming less and less that way, thanks to people like Dr. Oz and just the number of naturopaths, homeopaths, these types of practitioners and doctors that are becoming educated and practicing now. But there's still a large number of people that feel that if they look at alternative therapies, they're turning their back to conventional therapies, or vice versa. If I go if I go conventional, I have to turn my back completely to alternative. That's not what you have to do at all. You can do what's called an integrative approach, and it's taking the best of both worlds, of all worlds of medical treatment, of healing powers, and bringing them all together for an individual approach that's best for you.
So where would someone go and get information? So let's say I've been diagnosed with an illness. Mm-hmm. I go to my doctor. He's going to tell me one thing,
good,
right?
Yep, very good start point. Yeah. Always go to your doctor first.
So do you get a second opinion, or do I go on the internet? Do I read there's certain books? Like, how do I kind of...
All of that. All of that, everything.
Well, it's your health, so you better be serious.
It is. As I said, it's the most important. You are the number one most concerned person about your health, or you better be. And if you have kids and a wife and whatnot, they're going to help you, but still, it's up to you. So yeah, you find out information wherever you can. Now, in my case, I was lucky enough to already be seeing a naturopath. For my daughter, it was something else entirely different, but I had already been sort of swayed in that direction anyway. So after I spoke with my doctor and discovered, what was going on, I then immediately called my naturopath and said, okay, look, here's the situation. This was before I even knew it was cancer. This was after I had the ultrasound and discovered that I had 2 large tumors with only a 20% chance that it was cancerous, because I was young. I was 39 years old. I was very fit and healthy and had, practiced a healthy lifestyle. So very low chance that it was cancer. But I knew intuitively that it was a big deal and that I was fighting something disastrous, deadly. So I followed that instinct and wasn't pacified by what the doctors had said. Went to my naturopath and said, look, this is the situation. They're going to operate in about a month, 2 months to find out what it is. In the meantime, how can I best create an inhospitable environment for cancer leading up to the surgery, and to make my body as best prepared for the surgery? And that's exactly what we did.
And I was reading something that your doctor has labeled you, what?
The poster child.
The poster child for?
For this particular type of chemotherapy that I ended up taking after the surgery. So at the surgery is when they were able to do the diagnostics and realize it was cancer. And then, of course, they recommended chemotherapy. And again, that's a choice that you don't have to do. But you weigh the pros and cons, and that's what I did. I weighed the pros and cons. It was a very aggressive cancer, frightening one. I was a young woman. I had young children. My son was just over 1. My daughter had just turned 7. And, that was the driving force for me. Exactly. I want to see them grow up. So I weighed the pros and cons and decided, I'm going to go with chemotherapy, but I'm going to do these other things as well. And he's thrilled with how effective it's been.
At what point do you understand that for you that what part of it is mental, right? What part of it is your own thoughts, and do we need to surround ourselves with a support system that says yes, what you're doing is right, or they agree, or does that even matter?
Absolutely no. You've hit on all the great points that I would have hit on. A support system is key because the support system helps you maintain the right frame of mind, and you have to be in a very positive, optimistic state of mind, not unrealistic. You can't just bury your head in the sand and think la 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 la, nothing's going to happen.
In denial, right?
That's right. You can't be in denial.
Right.
You have to know what you're up against, have the knowledge, but be optimistic. And the only way you can stay optimistic is if you have a fantastic support team around you, which I did. My family, my kids, they were wonderful, and I knew how important it was, and even everyone at the cancer center, as well as these alternative therapies that I was taking, everybody told me unanimously, your mental state is at least 50% of it. So when I recognized in my life that there were a couple of people who weren't quite as supportive as they needed to be, I avoided them.
No, doctors were always, they'll shoot statistics at you.
Yes.
And they'll say, you have 10% chance of
survival or of,
Yeah.
Now, so my statistics.
How does that affect someone that has an illness or?
It absolutely devastates you. And because we are taught here, especially in North America, to believe in those statistics. Those are important numbers. You got to believe in them. It was devastating for me to find out, for example, for myself, that I flipped from 20% chance of it maybe being cancer to 20% chance of survival, period, if I was lucky. But here's an important thing. I had a really remarkable moment when I was talking to the nurse who headed up the chemo. And that's where I really broke down and cried, because not only was I going to be taking chemo, but a long list of other medications to offset the side effects. And it was a devastating piece of information for me, because, I'm gentle with my body. And I said to her, is it going to be worth it in the end? Does it work? And she said, yeah, it works. And I said, but the statistics, they're scary. They're really scary. It's limiting me. And she said, you know what, Leslie? Statistics are just numbers, and they do not take into account the difference that an individual can make.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the people who are watching this program, they want to take their health, they want to take charge of their health.
Yeah.
Whether it's to prevent, or maybe they've just been diagnosed with something. Mm-hmm. What are 3 tips that you can offer somebody watching this program that they can just take and run with it?
Don't just go to a doctor. Go to some other type of practitioner, be it a naturopath. I would recommend a naturopath, because they do homeopathy, acupuncture, all that kind of stuff. Surround yourself with positive, loving, supportive people.
I have a question for that.
Yeah.
What happens to Uncle Joe that he's just He loves you to death, but he's just negative.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What do we do with Uncle Joe?
And every time you go visit Uncle Joe, he's crying because
Yeah.
he's like he sees your death on the wall.
Yeah.
You try to buffer yourself. You try to, maybe you don't visit Uncle Joe too often. And I mean, it's very difficult if it's someone that plays a more significant role in your life, such as a partner. What do? Maybe you encourage them to go get some therapy.
Yeah.
Some support therapy to
Oh,
teach
yes,
them
yes.
how they need to be
With
to
you.
support you.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
And number one?
Number one, never give up.
Never give up.
Never give
never,
up.
Never,
no.
never, never,
if you
never.
can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it.
Oh,
It applies to everything.
Well, it's so true. It's so much has to do with belief.
Yes.
Right. If you allow the doctors to tell you,
You have 6 months.
yeah, you have 6 months, right?
Then you know what? If you believe it, in 6 months,
That's it. Lights are out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So I'm sure a lot of people are watching right now, and they're just they're taking back on your experience of how you
Yeah.
overcame. You literally designed your success. You went and found all the different outlets.
yeah.
And what is like we just said a quote by Napoleon Hill, but
Yeah.
what is another quote that you live by that someone that has to do with taking charge of your health, or what's a quote that you live by?
One that I live by is dream big and follow through.
Dream big and
follow through. So, and as it applies to this situation, I didn't have the greatest statistics working against me, but I had young kids that I wanted to see grow up, and that was my dream, and I'm making it happen. I'm following through. I'm doing the little steps that I need to do to make that happen.
Leslie, I just want to thank you so much for coming and teaching us how to take charge of our lives. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
And tune in next time for more of Success by Design Show.